Well, Jorge, thank you so much for having us today and for taking us on the tour of your new Séguéla mine. That's a fantastic tour. Obviously, it's the 2-year anniversary of the acquisition of Rox Gold, the completed one. 180 million investment in the site. How have the last months been for Fortuna Silver?
Last months have been intense. No, always we're coming to the end of a construction, commissioning, a lot of anticipation for the first gold, lots of effort and commitment to bring a mine into production. This is the first mine that the combined company, the new Fortuna post Roxgold acquisition, builds and delivers in West Africa. I think it speaks to a successful integration of both companies post acquisition. There is no way to deliver this kind of construction, commissioning, ramp up success if the transaction was not properly achieved and the two companies didn't integrate well. We delivered on time, on budget, through a challenging construction environment with lots of inflationary pressures, strain on supply chain. So all of those things have been overcome through the process. We had a great team, good planning, strong construction partners like Lycopodium, Mota and Gil, and others. So so everything has come together. Great delivery, and we're happy here. We poured first gold on May 24, and the mill has achieved a nameplate capacity, and we're advancing at full speed. Yeah,
Brilliant. Yeah, and actually we got to see gold pouring today, and that was really exciting. Well, let's talk about Séguéla for a minute. I mean, it's obviously first operation in West Africa. What are the kind of production targets for 2024? We discussed today the exploration plans as well. I mean, what makes Séguéla such an enticing and exciting project?
well, for 2023 we have already provided guidance to the market. We're guiding 60 to 75,000 ounces of gold,
Right.
but more importantly, at an all-in sustaining cost of $880 to $1,080 per ounce. No, that is our expectation. In the second quarter, we'll be reporting on gold produced, but still, the first weeks of a ramp-up phase. I believe the third quarter of the year is going to be one where we see the operation, far more stable.
Right.
So all of that is looking well. And on the exploration front, really what drove our original interest, not only to West Africa, but to Roxgold, and in particular to Séguéla, was the tremendous exploration potential that we see in this belt, where we hold a commanding land position.
Right.
We have a major structure with the right lithologies, and multiple gold occurrences, many of which remain to be tested, and lots of room to play. As I said, we control 35 kilometers on that belt. So we believe there is tremendous potential for continued growth. And to support the statement, we have the success we had with the Sunbird discovery.
Yes.
Sunbird 2 years ago was a couple of drill holes with exciting results. 2 years later, we are currently estimating reserves on a resource that has 280,000 ounces of gold in indicated and 500,000 ounces in inferred, which we just infilled, right, this first half of the year.
Yeah.
So we have 750,000 ounces of gold that we have developed in a new prospect over the last 24 months, and we're about to turn that into reserves through the infill drilling and incorporate it into a mine plan. And we have a robust pipeline of new prospects, Badior, Barana, Kestrel, to just mention a few, P13, Foley, in the pipeline. The exploration team is very busy here.
It seems so, yeah. And speaking with Pat today, just the presentation just made so much sense. You were saying sometimes projects have 5 or 10 kilometers to play. You guys have got 35 to play
Yeah.
with.
Yeah.
So obviously very busy on the exploration side. In terms of the socio-economic impact of Séguéla, obviously you started already with literacy training at some of the villages nearby. What is the mine going to bring to the Séguéla community? What's your approach to ESG? What are the upsides there?
When one develops a mine, your interactions are with multiple stakeholders. Developing a mine is something we take very seriously, and in particularly because of how we impact, communities, and we want not just an impact, but a good legacy,
Yeah.
right? So even though it's early days, we're already thinking about our legacy here,
Right.
right? So. Training. This is, we're driving time close to 10 hours away from the capital city of Abidjan. This is a relatively remote location. Population, has several gaps,
Yeah.
on infrastructure, education, health. So first is, understanding what the community priorities are. Uh, Train them, work with them in training, so they can be successfully integrated into work positions. We currently stand at about 40% local workforce, and when I say local, I mean within that first those first near neighbors. No,
Right.
40% of our workforce currently comes from those near neighbors, people that we have trained. For example, large truck operators. We brought simulators, and the local workforce is operating the fleet right now.
Right.
Right. So through training with simulators, and so we are currently employing 8% women on the workforce. We want to take that to 16, 17%. So, working, training to integrate them to the workforce. There are several gaps around with respect to education, so we cannot be blind to that, and we're working with local authorities, supporting education programs for children, for women, for the elderly, and also health programs. No, so we want to be a good neighbor,
Absolutely.
and that's something we take very very seriously. And I have to say that in Côte d'Ivoire, mining is strategic for the nation. When we speak with government, they have a clear message of support towards the industry, and
And I was going to come to this actually because you obviously operate in 5 countries, soon to be 6, 2 continents. Just briefly, how does Côte d'Ivoire fare against the other mining jurisdictions you operate in?
because what you just mentioned, we have a particularly good field of view
Yeah.
with respect to multiple jurisdictions, and I have to say that Cote d'Ivoire ranks among the most welcoming places for extractive industries, for mining, no responsible mining. So we feel very welcome here, and I would rank it very highly.
Yeah.
In terms of predictability for investment, clear laws,
Absolutely.
and government support in general. Right?
And so there's been recently, the past 2 months, the officializing of the acquisition of Chesser in Senegal. Just briefly on your strategy in Africa, is the continent becoming a higher priority for Fortuna in the future?
Africa is a large continent, right? So we are focused on West Africa.
Yeah.
If we draw a contour around the gold producing countries in West Africa, if we draw a contour around Ghana, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, the gold producing region in Mali, which is southwestern Mali, and loop around Senegal and close that loop. That surface area is about the size of the state of Texas in the US. That's the size.
Right.
And that surface area, the size of the state of Texas, if we think of it as a nation, it will be the largest gold producing nation in the world, ahead of continental size nations like China,
Yeah.
The US, Russia, Australia. It produces around 380 metric tons of gold annually. There is no other place in the world that exhibits the kind of growth in reserves, resources, production, like the West Africa, looking at it as a region. So we are currently anchored in West Africa. We have a regional base of operations in Abidjan, the commercial capital of Côte d'Ivoire, and our chief operating officer for the region sits here. And our area of emphasis is Côte d'Ivoire and near neighbors. Right. We have an operating mine in Burkina Faso, and now we are looking to expand our business to Senegal through the Chesser acquisition, which we expect is a transaction that can close in late August, early September. But it's not, our scope is not greater Africa. It's West Africa because the mineral endowment, because of all the industry clusters that are well anchored here and support and the efficient, effective development of mines like we shown. So it's West Africa, Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina, and near neighbors. Right?
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much, Jorge. That's been a great overview. Perhaps as a quick conclusion, Côte d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Senegal soon. What are going to be the key priorities for Fortuna as we enter 2024?
We are coming out of a capital intensive phase.
Yes.
So for us, it's more harvesting the portfolio.
Yes.
No? Getting our new mine into production and harvesting. So with respect to capital allocation, I don't think you'll see Fortuna pursuing or seeking new large corporate transactions, but rather allocating capital to organic growth opportunities, exploration, potential expansion of this newly built mine.
Absolutely.
Due to the exploration success we're enjoying, I think there are arguments to support that. And then, we'll be opportunistic about transactions like Chesser. Chesser is a transaction that bears little financial pressure to the company. We view it as an exploration project, at least for the next 2 years. So it bears a bit of geologic risk, which we're happy to take because that's our core business. That's what we know. And little financial risk to the company, right? So I think you should think of a harvesting time from Fortuna. We did the Roxgold acquisition 2 years ago, and it's only now, 2 years later, that our shareholders are going to start seeing the reward of the transaction and the capital deployment over the last 2 years. Right?
Brilliant. All right, well, that was a great interview. Thank you so much, Jorge.
No, pleasure.
That's it from me. Thank you so much.